Hi, Pure Water Power, and I would like to demonstrate the new upgraded versions of the 4-stage RODI carts. Now these 4-stage purification systems are available in 3 configurations. They are available with a single RO with a 20-inch DI, a single RO with a 10-inch DI, and a high flow dual RO with a 20-inch DI. I'll just give you a little bit of education on what these systems produce and how it will affect your usage. Either of the 2 single ROs will produce about 3/4 of a gallon per minute. And what that means is you can operate a single pole with 4 jetted brush up to 50 feet, assuming that you have a normal incoming pressure of about 48 psi. The dual RO system will produce twice that, so it's a gallon and a half per minute. And assuming you have a normal incoming pressure of 48 psi, and what that means is you can operate 2 poles with 4 jetted brushes up to 50 feet high, or a single hose or a single pole much higher than that. And then another benefit of the dual RO is if you come across a low incoming water source, psi from the water source, let's say every now and then you'll hit something in the low 40s or maybe even the high 30s. This will definitely produce enough water to get through that type of a situation, where a single RO version, that might be enough, or it probably is enough to prevent you from operating your water fed pole efficiently, and may need to inline a booster pump in those situations. So that's essentially the differences between the single and the dual RO. Now all of these systems are 4 stages. They are configured pretty much the same way, with exception to the DI on one of the single ROs. But the 4 filtration, you have your water source that hooks up here from the spigot. It will go through the sediment filter, which removes large solids and rust. Then it goes through the carbon filter, which takes out all the chlorine. Chlorine has to be removed before the RO, otherwise you can damage the RO membrane. So then it passes through the RO membrane. The RO will take out about 95% of the total dissolved solids of the water. So meaning if you have a 200 TDS coming in raw from the water source, you should be somewhere around 15 or so before it hits the DI. And then the DI will take the remainder out and bring the TDS level down to 0 for a spot-free rinse. And that is the reason why most people go with the 4-stage system. It's much more efficient than a straight DI system that you might rent from Culligan or some other manufacturer, especially if you're in high TDS areas. These DI filters last so much 10 times as long because the ROs are taking out 95% of the solids coming into it. So again, that's the reason why the 4-stage system is just so much more beneficial, especially if you're out there cleaning using water-fed poles every day. So much more efficient, much more cost effective in the long run for your filter changes. One thing I want to go over is the RO discharge, which is equipped on all of these systems, on any RO system for that matter. All RO systems are equipped with what we call a discharge hose. And what that means is the water, once you turn on the system, the water is going through the system. All the bad water that the ROs are taking out have to exit the system somehow, and the exit's out of a discharge hose. So that's normal. About 20% of the water coming into the system will constantly exit out of this while you're using it, and that's normal. Don't be alarmed with that. You can these hoses are equipped with a garden hose fitting, so you can attach another hose to it and move it to a designated area away from where you're having it hooked up, so you can not have the water puddling up around the hookup site. And these systems have a flush valve, which is equipped on all of them. And this flush valve, what it does is it clears the system of all of the TDS water, high TDS water that's in there. So it has 2 operations. It has up for flush mode and down for normal mode. So when you get to a job site, hook up the water, turn it on, the first thing you want to do is put this in flush mode. And what that's going to do is, instead of the water exiting the DI side, 95% of it now will exit through the discharge hose. And that's just going to clear the system, get all that bad water out of there. Do that for about a minute, and then go ahead and take this flush valve and put it into normal mode. And then what that's going to do is push the water away from this side and back to the DI, to the pole side. And then you'll be back to the 15-20% discharge rate that will always be there. These valves, this valve does not work like a normal ball valve. When you turn off a regular ball valve, it shuts it off. This will always allow a discharge. It's a safety mechanism, so that the pressure doesn't build up in these membrane housings. So anyway, that's normal, and don't be alarmed with that. These systems also have a quick disconnect here at the between the ROs and the DI, and this does a couple of things for you. If you're ever wanting to troubleshoot the system, let's say you're experiencing a higher TDS than normal, than what you may think you should be getting, you can disconnect this, take the TDS meter that's supplied with the system, and take a reading out of here, and you should be you know, at 10% or so of whatever the water TDS is coming in. So if you have 200, you should be at about 10 or 15 here. So that'll be a diagnostic for your membranes. The other reason is you can actually bypass your DI filter altogether on certain jobs. If you're cleaning something that doesn't have to be down to a spot free, or if you're cleaning equipment or awnings or something in that neighborhood, or let's say your TDS readings were just so low that the RO was bringing it down below 10 and you didn't need the DI. So that's a benefit for you to save your lifespan of your DI filter. So these systems include a 50-foot length of 3/8 inch hose, and this hose is designed to connect to the DI outlet to the water-fed pole, give you an extra maneuvering ability with your water-fed pole instead of having to drag the system around with you. And you can add another 100-150 feet or so of more hose to make it longer. These systems produce definitely enough pressure to do so. What we don't recommend is to use this hose on the inlet side to the spigot, and the reason being is you can use it and you might be okay, but if you're in a lower pressure area, it could decrease your pressure enough to where it doesn't flow efficiently enough, and it's because this is such a small diameter hose, it could restrict the flow coming in. So we don't recommend that coming in. You should use a garden hose that's 1/2 inch or 5/8 rather. And then these systems come with a handheld TDS meter. It's a digital meter. You just get a cup of water. It's good to know what you're dealing with in your raw water coming in. Just fill up a cup a little bit, couple inches, and then dip this in. It'll take a reading. And then you want to test your DI water out to make sure you're below 10. Once this out reading gets to 10, your windows will have a potential spotting issue at that point, and you need to change your DI filter. So it's good to have that information. So these systems are all constructed with stainless RO housings. They are definitely stronger than the standard PVC ones that are prominently sold out on the market today. They give it a little bit better professional look, a little bit more rugged. All of the fittings throughout this whole system, on all of them, they're all brass and steel fittings, no plastic parts that can break on you. And then, so they're really well built, high quality systems. One thing I want to go over on the DI filters, on the single ROs, we have two models. One has a 10 inch and one has a 20 inch. And basically, the only difference is you're going to get twice the lifespan out of this 20 than you are the 10. So downsize weighs about 6 more pounds. So you kind of weigh out that if you're not cleaning windows every day, you might want to go with something a little smaller, or if you're in a lower TDS area, you can get by with a longer lifespan. So essentially, they will produce the same water flow. You're just going to get a longer lifespan of the DI. So all of these systems are upgradable to the dual RO version. So let's say you're not sure which system you want, and maybe you're going to grow into more usage later. So if you get the single RO with a 10-inch DI, you can add at any time a 20-inch DI filter to it. You just have to purchase the housing, and obviously the filter will be bigger. So either of these two systems can be converted to the dual RO version. We will have kits available shortly. So if you have a single RO here and you're experiencing low water pressure in your area, I know San Diego is famous for that. Instead of using a pump, you want to go to a dual RO. We will sell you the second dual RO with the connections. You can move this over, add the second one, and have it set up just like that. So upgradable, and so you're not stuck with this purchasing a new system. You can always upgrade. The weights and dimensions on these things, 55 pounds on the single RO with the 10-inch DI, 60 pounds on the single RO with the 20-inch DI, and then the dual RO version weighs 70 pounds. So even at 70 pounds, this is still very portable. These systems can be operated in the upright position or laid down flat. They can be stored or transported in the upright position or in the flat position. And these systems include a manual for instructions on operating the system, troubleshooting, warranty information, filter changes, and the housing wrenches for the filter housings. Other than that, excellent systems available by Pure Water Power. Thank you and have a great day.